Welcome to another RSR. Tonight we're reviewing Toluca FC 1, Tigres UANL 1, 6-5 on penalties. Toluca win the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2026. The CONCACAF Champions Cup Final 2026, Toluca wins on penalties. They play Tigres again at Nemesio Diaz 6 months on from their Liguilla final, where Toluca won on penalties. They do so again. And this one wasn't as crazy as the other shootout, but there were moments. There were moments. Let me tell you. Toluca FC, 1. Tigres UANL, 1. 6-5 en penales. La Copa Campeones de la CONCACAF final. Toluca FC campeón de CONCACAF. Tigres derrotan en penales. Toluca ganador. Toluca campeón de CONCACAF. What a game this was. What a game this was. This was, even though this ended up 1-1 and ending up on penalties like the UEFA Champions League final, this was way more entertaining. It wasn't as much of a team holding on for dear life. This was entertaining. This was very entertaining overall. Goals were scored as follows. Halftime, it was 0-0. 0-0, medio tiempo. Toluca were the better team, I think, at least on chances when it came to the first half. Tigres defended very well, but they never really challenged Toluca, in my opinion. They never really truly challenged them. And even for most of the game, that sort of stood. Sort of stood is what it was. But halftime, Toluca was definitely the better team, and they were close to scoring a couple of times, but they just couldn't. Full time, 0-0, 0-0 esta noche. Tiempo regular, 0-0. The first couple of minutes of the second half, Tigres had Toluca struggling for a good little bit when it came to the second half. Toluca still looked like the better team for a while, but those subs didn't start off looking very good. The second half was a struggle for Toluca at times. They still were the better team overall, but Tigres were definitely making Toluca struggle as this game was going on. But they get to extra time. 104 minutes. 104 minutes. Jorge Diaz scores. Arce plays him through. Diaz slots it to the far post past Nahuel. 1-0 esta noche. 1-0. Medio tiempo de la tiempo extra. Toluca has the lead, and you think, okay, this is where it ends up for Toluca, where this game is theirs. Not so fast. Halftime, extra time, it's 1-0. But 10 minutes later, Joaquim scores, and he's very good at scoring off set pieces. He saved Tigres' ass a good amount of times this playoff, or this tournament, by doing so. Ball crossed in, lofted in very well. Joaquim goes into the heavens to get to it, heads it past Garcia, and Tigres are alive. 1-1, 1-1. After extra time, it is 1-1. Post tiempo extra, 1-1 esta noche. Penalties. Penalties. Penales de final de la partido. Penalties. Pavel Perez takes the first penalty, sends Nahuel the wrong way, and slots it home. 1-0, 1-0. Andre Pierre Gignac, with his last touch of a ball as a Tigres player, slots his penalty. 1-1, 1-1. Santiago Simon scores 2-1. 2-1. Juan Brunetta answers back. 2-1, or 2-2, 2-2. Federico Pereira scores, and through the arm of Nahuel. 3-1 2. Fernando Gorehan is saved by Garcia. His penalty is saved by Garcia. 3-2. Jorge Diaz, the hero of Toluca, to score the opening goal, scores this penalty. 4-2. Angel Correa slips on his ass, but slots his penalty through. 4-3. Franco Romero is saved. Penalty is saved by Nahuel. 4-3. Diego Lainez slots his penalty to send it to sudden death. 4-4. Sebastian Cordova, the former Tigres player, slots his penalty, beats Nahuel. 5-4. Romulo scores his penalty. 5-5. Fernando Arce scores his penalty. 6-5. Oh, Flores is got a knee brace. That's not good news. That's not good news for Canada. Or Tigres, for that matter. Juan Jose Parada comes up, has to score. Garcia makes the save. After penalties, 1-1. 6-5 on penalties for Toluca. They are your champions. 1-1 esta noche. 6-5 en penales. Toluca campeón de la campeones. Copa Campeones de la CONCACAF. The Champions Cup winners are Toluca. They go from a bicampeón to a Champions of CONCACAF run. And frankly, we all saw them making the final, and a lot of us saw them winning. With that being said, here we are. Full-time stats are as follows. 13 shots to 15, 4 shots on goal to 8, 45% possession to 55% possession, 418 pass to 509, 79% pass accuracy to 83, 24 fouls to 14, 2 offside to 0, 2 yellow cards to 2, 0 red cards to 0, 4 corners to 7. Man of the match for me is Jorge Diaz, scoring the opening goal for Toluca, which looked like a winning goal, scoring his penalty. He did his job. Nobody expected him to make that big of an impact, and he did. Paulinho didn't really show up. Marcel didn't really show up. Some of Toluca's best players that were still here that weren't at the World Cup camp didn't exactly show up to what I would say showing up in a final. Toluca played well, don't get me wrong. I still think they were the better team overall. But to say, I don't think much of their best players showed up that well. I think it was the bench players who we thought that was an empty bench. We thought that was firing blanks. That bench. No, that bench saved their ass. Who would have seen that coming? When I saw that bench, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a firing blanks. And there were moments in this game where I was like, yeah, that bench ain't good enough. No. But when Cordova came on, something flipped. And I thought, Paulinho for Cordova? That's the sub you're going to make? If you go to penalties, you might be screwed, first of all. Second of all, Cordova for Paulinho. Best player of the tournament, Paulinho, by the way. Best player of the team, Toluca, by the way. I thought, oh, that's not a good idea. But as soon as he came on, as soon as Cordova came on, he played well. It's like he had something to prove to Tigres that you didn't want to keep me. I'm going to make a statement. And he did. He did. I know Cordova has talent, but he ain't Paulinho. But dude showed up, and he played well. And Arce gets the ball, plays it on to Diaz. Goal. Yes, the header's a bad one to give up, but that's just what Joaquim does. He knows how to finish a header. He's done it a lot for Tigres this tournament. Saved their ass and got him here on the road to this final. Overall, to say, for me, I think Toluca were the better team. Yes, I think a 1-1 goal score was a fair score for this final. I think it going to penalties was a fair outcome. Both teams played well. Both teams wanted this very badly. But Toluca, even though they were a little bit weakened, found their answers. And to say they definitely deserve this. They definitely deserve this. They were the better team throughout the tournament, but on the night, Tigres showed why they've been champions before. Tough match, and Toluca's lifting their trophy as we speak. Marcel Ruiz lifting the trophy, wins the CONCACAF Champions Cup, lifts it as the captain of Toluca. Coming back from his injury, let's see what they do for the World Cup for him. But overall, Toluca, they were the better team throughout the tournament. If you wanted to go through the whole tournament, they were the better team. They deserved to win more than Tigres. But Tigres, this was their best away match. I know they won in Nashville, but Toluca's better than Nashville. And playing at Nemesio Diaz is harder than playing at Geodis Park. Let's just be real. I respect Nashville. I like them. They're a good club. Playing there is not playing at Nemesio Diaz. And Toluca, or Tigres for that matter, fought hard. And they wanted this just as bad as Toluca. And Tigres didn't lose as many players, at least to the Mexican World Cup camp. And Canada did not call up Flores and say, hey, well, they called him up to the World Cup roster, which that might change with his injury. But by what I mean by did not call him up, they didn't say, hey, you have to be at this camp because we need you at this camp. No, they let him play the game. And in the end, was that bad for Canada? Might just be bad for them. But I gotta say, overall, Tigres didn't lose Oziel. They didn't lose Lainez because they didn't get called up. So in that way, you're watching the football, and Tigres have a stronger side, 11 and bench. And they put everything into this game. Toluca weren't too weakened, at least going in, at least starting 11-wise, but that bench looked bad. And overall, I think you have to be happy with how the game went if you're Toluca especially. But Tigres fought their asses off, and they worked hard. And sometimes it doesn't go your way. I think it was a very even game, a very tough game, a very strong game, and both teams had their moments and both teams didn't have their moments. But in the end, I think when you look at the football that was played, I think you could be very proud of this final. It was a very good final, a much better Champions Cup final than the UEFA Champions League final was, even if it ended up being a 1-1 penalty shootout game. This game was so much better. This game was so much better. With that being said, congratulations to Toluca. Felicidades Toluca. Commiserations to Tigres. I was right on my prediction. I had Toluca winning. They did, even if it was on penalties. But I was right. Toluca are your champions. Congratulations. Felicidades. Enjoy it. And we'll see how this goes. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification once you subscribe. Send some chats on live streams. Hit that hype button to put this up in the algorithm. Hit that join button to become a member. Super chats on live streams. Comment on this video. Put this in playlists. Share it with friends and family. All that great stuff. I will see you, if you're a Dynasty Star, tomorrow for Run It Back for the month of May. Dynasty Stars on Monday as well for month ahead for the month of June. And everybody, we will be back on Monday night for Canada versus Uzbekistan, live RSR. And there we go. So, have an amazing Sunday. Enjoy the time with your families. We'll all be off on Sunday. Enjoy your day. And I'll see you on Monday. Well, besides the Dynasty Stars. But I'll see everybody on Monday. Congratulations to Toluca. Well deserved. Felicidades. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace.